Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday morning meditation. So good to see you. Happy mid-July. Oh my goodness, we have had an eventful weekend, haven't we, in our country, and certainly lots of eyes on us right now. And, you know, it's been several years now of some difficult tension in our country. And even before I was thinking of, mentioning that in our meditation this morning, because really we're not here for world events, we're here for our own center. But we're all connected, right? It's all related. But even before I was thinking about that, I was thinking about the concept of judgment and judging. And I think there's a lot of that flying around. And I hear from people a lot in the work that I do, and just friends and relatives that I talk to, like, what can we do? How is this ever going to, um, you know, lighten up, and how are we going to get over ourselves, basically, and learn to work together. And one of the most effective things that we can do is a little, I don't want to say counterintuitive because it's very intuitive, but it's certainly counter intellect. It's counter what we would think would be the thing, which is go out and do something. And sometimes we're called to do something on the outside. There's certainly plenty of things to do. And what makes that much more of a difference is what's happening on the inside. And which brings me back to judgments, and being the observer of what's going through our mind. Are we judging? Are we judging others? Are we judging ourselves? Certainly, I'm guilty of all of that myself, and that's why it comes to my mind, right? Because this is once for you and once for me. So, so in our meditation time, what happens is that in our meditation practice, we become more aware of what's flying through our heads all the time. It's been all sorts of thoughts and judgments and whatevers have been flying through our heads anyway. But as we continue and strengthen our meditation practice and strengthen that, 24/7 calmness and centeredness that a meditation practice brings, we also become more aware of the nonsense that goes through our heads also. And that is valuable that we become aware of that because it's in there anyway. When we're coming from our emotions, we're coming from unchecked thoughts and attitudes and judgments going on inside of us. So it's valuable to become aware of, like, oh wow, I didn't know that thought was in there. And surely everybody has had thoughts flying through their mind that they feel a little horrified around, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that thought just came up in my head. That's really violent or really rude or really inappropriate, or whatever we deem that thought to be that flies through our heads. But that's not happening a lot anyway, not just inappropriate or outrageous thoughts, but even just those little judgments that come up through our brains throughout the day. And when they go unchecked, they become problems. Then they come out of our mouths unexpectedly when we are in a heated debate, or a topic that means something to us comes up, and we stand up for our rights and we fight for, whatever it is. And again, there's a time and a place for that. I'm all for that. I have a solid record of standing up for my rights and putting somebody in their place. I got plenty of that going on. And what is useful is to pick our battles, right? To choose when this is a time when I need to stand up for myself, for someone else, for a concept, for an opportunity to help somebody understand something differently. All those are good, but it has to be from a place that we're really solid in within ourselves. I'm going to give you a very silly example. Years ago, like 30 something years ago, I bought my first car. Bought my first car. I was so excited about it. It was this two-door Honda Accord, kind of this burgundy color. It was beautiful. It had that new car smell. I was so proud of it. And I had grown up with family cars, station wagons after station wagon after station wagon. I was so proud of my new car that was a two-door. I call it my single girl car. It was fantastic. And I remember I was taking some classes at my church headquarters at the time, where I was also working after college. And I was so excited because when people would come in from all over and take 2 weeks of these spiritual education classes, and I was there to be part of it all. I was taking classes. I helped teach one of the classes, and um, just in participating in all of that enthusiasm that was there for the time that all these people were in for these classes. Anyway, on Thursday nights, we would always go dancing. That was the go out and dance together night. And I was so excited because I had my new car and I thought, oh, I could help drive there. Usually I would hitch a ride with somebody else because I was coming into town, but I happened to live there at that time. That was my first job after college. And oh, I'm making this story a lot longer than it needs to be. I'm sorry, but I was like really excited about driving. So I offered a few of the people who were there for classes a ride, like three other people. And there was this one woman who was, I had to lift the seat back so she could climb into the back, right? And I'm all excited about this and not really being too young to realize the inconvenience of climbing into the back seat like that because I was driving. So I didn't have to climb into the back seat. But on her way in, she said, oh, yeah, I used to think that I only deserved a two-door car, but now I know better. And it was like her judgment smacked me upside the head, but I had to laugh because anyway, that's another long story in and of itself. But I laughed to myself, but that was a good example of a judgment that can come at us. And if we identify with it, if we identify too strongly with our own judgment, my judgment was my two-door car, my stance, I should say. My two-door car was a wonderful thing. It was I was so proud of it. And here comes somebody else with an opposing view. And she wasn't nasty when she shared it. She was just sharing it matter-of-factly, like that was what was going through her mind, and it just came out her mouth also, you know. But it could have been a contention, right? I could have felt really angry with her. I could have felt like, wow, what is she talking about? She has no idea what this car means to me, and it means something different to me. And it means like I feel very worthy of my new two-door car, my first car ever, and whatever. But it's what are we going to do when those judgments come to us, right? Are we going to get offended and be right there pushing back? Or are we going to come from our center and say, okay, I can understand that that is somebody's standpoint. I can understand that, but I don't have to take that on for me. That's not true for me. And I did a video a long time ago. Maybe I'll include that in our YouTube description of this one, but it's called Judgment versus Discernment, or maybe it's Discernment versus Judgment, because they're two different things. Judgment has an element of condemnation to it, and discernment is when we choose something different because we feel that it's going to be better for us. So in that silly example, my two-door car was just fine for me, even if a two-door car wasn't fine for her. And that's great. My car meant something to me that was very different than it meant to her. And it's okay. We still got to the dance. We still had a good time. We still went through with our classes. So, so that's on the outside when we're dealing with judgments. When we're dealing with judgments on the inside, it's kind of the same thing. This negative voice that we have sometimes, it's always complaining about something. And you know the voice I'm talking about. It's complaining about other people, it's complaining about situations, it's complaining about us on a regular basis. Oh, you should have done this and you should have done that. And why did you eat this? And all of that stuff that goes on and on and on and on, or just telling us we're not good enough somehow. And we have to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. So in our meditation time, to get back to our purpose here today, in our meditation time, we are practicing not taking personally those thoughts and especially those judgments that go through our mind over and over again. What if we didn't listen to it? What if we did not take heed of that critical thought and didn't go, oh, you know what? You're right. I shoulda, coulda, woulda eaten differently. I shoulda, coulda, woulda set up my room differently. I shoulda, coulda, woulda all the stuff. And so then we're backtracking, we're going and we're redoing things and we're trying harder and but that critical voice never is satisfied. So it doesn't help us to let that voice go unchecked and not have that observer self stepping back and going, oh, I don't really think I want to listen to you anymore. And certainly our meditation time is when we are practicing that. We're just going to let that go. We're going to take no thought. Take no thought. We're just going to let it be and let it kind of let the air out of its tires by not participating in that thought that's coming up. So that was a long way around to describe what we're hanging out with today, talking longer than usual, but here we go. Let's just practice taking no thought and not identifying with the judgments that are going through our mind all the time. So we're really going to notice that I don't have to I don't have to give that voice any authority right now. I don't have to take to heart what that voice is trying to say. So let's just practice that today. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs if you're not already. We start with a couple of deep breaths to transition, just letting go of all of that. We let go of the morning, we let go of the day. Feeling your breath just calmly breathing in through the belly and breathing out through the belly. as we focus on those breaths. Feel the body cooperating and relaxing. Find our center. That grounded, calm place within. From that center, we observe the thoughts going through the mind, and we let them keep moving like clouds moving through the sky. It can be helpful to just notice those thoughts containing some sort of judgment. Just let it keep moving by. Judgment of self, judgment of others, judgment of situations. The mind has all sorts of opinions. Notice them and just let them go by, letting our attention, our focus return to that center where there's peace, loving understanding, compassion, without having to say a word, internally or externally. The beautiful reality of who we are is beyond judgment, beyond what's happening outside, beyond what's happening in the mind. There is the beautiful presence of who we are. A beautiful question to ask in this practice is, who would I be without my judgments? What would I feel like inside when I'm not judging myself or others. It doesn't mean we lose our wisdom. It doesn't mean we lose our discernment. We just lose that active separation, separating ourselves from our brothers and sisters and others in humanity. We separate ourselves from ourselves. I invite you to take this practice with you this week, but just observing any judgments that are going through your mind, judgments that you're hearing, judgments that might actually be spoken by you. It's okay, just notice it. Just notice it. We use that faculty of discernment to choose what is in our best interest, to accept or to walk away from, but not out of condemning judgments, just out of wisdom. That's how we learn and grow. If you have time to continue watching your thoughts and sitting in your meditation space, I invite you to do so. If you need to go about your day, just take a couple of deep breaths to help your mind and body switch gears. Taking this practice of observing with you today and throughout the week. Thank you for being here with me this morning and listening to my little story. I look forward to this practice with you this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you again for being here, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.